Land shouldn't be this unpredictable. Yet across America, the ground bends, splits, and hides secrets that defy maps and logic. These are the places that rewrite geography, the quiet corners of the United States where reality folds, nature cheats, and the Earth itself seems to keep a few tricks up its sleeve. Number 10, sunrise in reverse. Somewhere in America, the day begins in the wrong direction. The first sunrise doesn't appear over the East Coast. It crawls up from the west. Out past Alaska's mainland, the Aleutian Islands stretch so far across the Pacific that they cross the 181st meridian, the line dividing today from tomorrow. There, on Attu Island, the dawn comes from the west. You can stand on U.S. soil, watch the sunrise, and still be in the Eastern Hemisphere. Locals call it tomorrow's light. It confuses pilots, wrecks calendars, and makes scientists triple-check their maps. When the rest of the country sleeps, the western edge of America is already hours into the next day. It's the only place in the United States where geography folds time back on itself, where west means east, and the clock stops making sense. On Attu, nothing feels linear. The wind never stops, and the light arrives too early, as if time itself has a favorite hiding spot. Number 9, 3 directions, 1 state. Alaska bends the compass until it breaks. It's the northernmost, westernmost, and somehow the easternmost state in America. That last one sounds like nonsense, until you trace the Aleutian chain. The islands cross the 180-degree line, slipping quietly into the eastern hemisphere. Meaning part of Alaska technically lies east of the world's easternmost countries. It's a state so big, longitude can't hold it. A place that exists on both sides of the planet at once. Sailors used to joke that Alaska could shake hands with itself across the dateline. They weren't far off. At the far end of the island chain, GPS systems glitch, compasses twitch, and even satellites struggle to define where. Somewhere between the lines of longitude, Alaska becomes both yesterday and tomorrow, a geographic paradox that makes every other border look artificial. It's not just America's largest state, it's a reminder that maps lie to keep us comfortable. Number 8, the real South. Every year, crowds line up at a giant buoy in Key West, Florida, the southernmost point of the continental US, the sign says. They take their photos, confident they've reached the end of the map. They're wrong. The true southernmost point of the United States lies nearly 5,000 miles away, at Kale, or South Point, on Hawaii's Big Island. Here, the cliffs drop straight into turquoise water, and gusts from the Pacific Ocean bend the trees inland like they're bowing to the wind. Locals whisper that it's the oldest inhabited site in Hawaii, a launch point for Polynesian voyagers who once vanished into the horizon. Fishermen still tie their lines to the same iron rings driven into volcanic rock centuries ago, casting into currents that once carried canoes instead of hooks. Stand there long enough and you'll feel it. The strange pull of standing at America's lowest edge, far beyond Florida's claims. The air hums differently, like the planet is exhaling through this corner of rock. Even GPS satellites seem to hesitate before deciding you're still within US borders. The Key West buoy may win the photo ops, but South Point wins the truth. It's the real end of the road, the last sliver of land before open ocean swallows the hemisphere. The place where America ends, not with fanfare, but with wind, silence, and salt. Number 7, hidden mountain giant. Everyone knows Mount Everest, but the tallest mountain on Earth hides under American waves. It's Mauna Kea, a volcano on Hawaii's Big Island. Above sea level, it reaches 13,796 feet. But its base lies deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, another 19,700 feet below measured from base to summit. It towers over Everest by nearly a mile. Astronomers built telescopes on its peak because the air is razor thin and the stars seem close enough to touch. Yet most of the mountain lies unseen. A submerged giant pretending to be ordinary divers near its base find volcanic slopes descending into darkness, part of a structure so vast it could hide entire skylines. But what's stranger is how alive it still is. Geologists have recorded tremors inside its core, faint movements that suggest the mountain still breathes beneath the sea. Local legends call it the home of Poliahu, the snow goddess who guards the summit, forever at odds with Pele, goddess of fire. On cold nights, you can stand above the clouds and see both, snow on the peak, lava glowing faintly in the distance. Hawaii's calm paradise sits atop a sleeping colossus, a mountain so big, it distorts gravity ever so slightly. The island chain itself is just the visible tip of a world-sized volcano, rising from the planet's crust like a secret spine. We call Everest the tallest because it's easier to see, but the ocean keeps its own records, and Mauna Kea owns the real crown. Number 6. Neighbors of extremes. In California, two of America's most dramatic landscapes sit closer than logic should allow. Mount Whitney, the highest point in the contiguous U.S. at 14,505 feet, stands just 84 miles from Death Valley, the lowest point, at 282 feet below sea level. In less than 2 hours, the world drops from glacial peaks to burning desert. One road connects them, winding through elevation and climate like it's bending reality. Climbers start their day scraping ice from tents. By afternoon, they drive past dunes where the ground warps in heat waves, and thermometers push past 120 degrees Fahrenheit. It's a collision of opposites, the roof of America and its basement, sharing the same horizon. But nature doesn't draw clean lines here. Storms born over Whitney sometimes drift down the slopes, dumping rain into Death Valley's cracked earth. When that happens, the desert blooms overnight, a carpet of purple and gold flowers stretching for miles, a miracle that lasts only days before the sun takes it back. Death Valley is so dry, heat shimmers into optical illusions. Whitney's summit is so cold, wind freezes exposed skin in seconds. Yet both exist under the same sun, in the same state, side by side. California doesn't just contain extremes, it lets them stare each other down, daring you to stand between them and feel the shift from ice to fire in a single breath. Number 5. County of Millions, Los Angeles. County isn't a state, but it might as well be. 10 million people live here, more than in 41 states combined. Within its borders are 88 separate cities, 70 miles of coastline, and terrain that jumps from deserts to snowy peaks. The county's economy rivals entire nations. Its highways hum like arteries, feeding a living organism of lights, glass, and sprawl. But beneath the skyline, LA hides one of the strangest truths in American geography. Density doesn't mean uniformity. You can ski in the San Gabriel Mountains in the morning, stand in the Mojave Desert by noon, and surf Malibu waves before sunset, all without leaving the county line. It's a world compressed into one county, stretching reality to fit inside traffic patterns and time zones. Los Angeles isn't just a population hub. It's a condensed version of the American experiment: chaos, invention, and geography, colliding in one sun-drenched microcosm. The map calls it a county. Reality calls it an entire ecosystem wearing a zip code. Number 4, the Pine Desert. In the lush forests of Maine, a secret patch of desert lies waiting. 40 acres of sand, rolling, shifting, impossible, hidden among pine trees and mossy soil. Locals call it the Desert of Maine. It began as farmland in the 1800s. Overworked soil, stripped of nutrients, revealed the ancient glacial sand beneath. Once the topsoil vanished, the dunes took over, swallowing fences, barns, and every attempt to stop them. Today, sand still creeps outward, slowly reclaiming ground the forest can't hold. Wind carves ripples into gold-colored slopes surrounded by green, like a mirage with an edge. It's the only true desert east of the Mississippi, and it shouldn't exist. Maine gets too much rain for that. Yet there it is, a dry wound in the middle of New England's forests, born from both nature and human neglect. You can walk its trails and hear the sound of sand underfoot, muffled and eerie, while trees loom in the distance. A misplaced fragment of the Sahara, hidden in pine country. Number 3, triple landlocked trap. Nebraska is so far from the sea that the ocean feels like fiction. Not only is it landlocked, it's triply landlocked. From anywhere in the state, you'd have to cross at least 3 other states or Canadian provinces to reach open water. That's not just isolation, it's entrapment by geography. The Platte River snakes through Nebraska, flowing endlessly toward nowhere coastal. It teases with movement, but every drop of it ends up landlocked too, looping into river systems that never find the sea. For generations, Nebraskans lived in a world surrounded by invisible walls. The nearest tide is over 1,000 miles away. It's a quiet kind of confinement, one that shaped the culture into endurance. Where other states dream of coasts, Nebraska dreams of rain. Even the sky here feels enormous, as if it's making up for the missing ocean. The land stretches flat and endless, until horizon and earth blur together, a sea made of grass. But beneath that calm, something strange happens. Because of its position, Nebraska's weather comes from everywhere. Arctic winds from the north, humid air from the Gulf, dry heat from the desert west. They collide right above it, turning the center of the country into one of its most unpredictable skies. Tornadoes drop without warning. Storms vanish as quickly as they form. America's middle is not just center, it's captivity, disguised as calm, and balanced forever on the edge of chaos. Number 2, liberty's hidden border. The Statue of Liberty, the icon of New York, the face of freedom, isn't actually in New York. Her island sits in waters that legally belong to New Jersey. When the states drew their boundary lines in the 1800s, the mapmakers split the difference. New York kept control of Liberty Island itself, but the surrounding water and everything beneath it was awarded to New Jersey. So every ferry that carries tourists to New York's most famous landmark sails through New Jersey, jurisdiction first. It's an invisible joke the coastline plays on us. America's most recognizable statue, standing proudly in the wrong state. Geographers still debate how to list her in textbooks. Some use New York, others quietly write New York, New Jersey. But no one tells the visitors Liberty may hold a torch, but geography holds the punchline. And if that twist feels strange, it's about to get stranger. Because America's borders don't just blur between states, they blur between worlds. Number 1, all worlds, one nation. The United States is less a country and more a planet in miniature. It contains nearly every biome on Earth: tundra, desert, rainforest, grassland, swamp, savanna, and tropical jungle. You can leave Alaska's frozen north, fly south, and end up in volcanic Hawaii, where orchids bloom beside lava flows. In one day, you can cross climates that take continents to produce. Few realize how improbable that is. Most nations cling to one kind of environment, one rhythm. America hosts them all, stitched together by highways and storms. It's the only country where snow, drought, rainforest, and reef all fly the same flag. Where you can watch lightning split a desert sky, then step into a rainforest soaking in warm, endless rain. From the frozen rim of the Arctic Circle to the coral gardens of Florida, the geography of the United States doesn't just defy borders, it defies belief. Maybe that's the strangest truth of all, that one nation can hold the contradictions of an entire world and still call it home. From time-bending islands to deserts that shouldn't exist, America hides its secrets in plain sight. Because America's story doesn't end where the land meets the sea. It only hides, waiting for the next discovery.